Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this, and thanks for joining us on our weekly Bible reading video. This week we don't have follow-up Bible readings because we have our Thanksgiving service, so hopefully you were able to make that and we had a good time doing that and sharing together. So it's cliche, but we're going to talk about thankfulness at Thanksgiving, which, we should do. One parable or one story that came to mind is a story from the Bible where Jesus is in the book of Luke, where Jesus is on his way to Samaria and he runs into 10 lepers. I'm going to read a little bit here and we'll talk about it. On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. That's Jesus. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance and lifted up their voice, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. So let's set this pause right there. So Jesus is walking along, and these guys who evidently his reputation has gotten out, and these 10 lepers cry out that Jesus cleanse us. Now, Jesus doesn't even pray for them. That's very fascinating to me. He just says, "Go show yourselves to the priest." Now, as a reminder, leprosy was one of various diseases, skin diseases they had in the Bible, but the important thing is it made you ritualistically impure. And in order to be able to participate in the life of the community and even church, for them, you had to be cleansed. You had to not have leprosy. It was you had to, if you were healed of it or you cured of it, you would have to go to the priest to prove that, so you could be welcomed back into life. So Jesus just tells them, "Go show yourselves to the priest," so they could be cleared to resume life again. And it says, as they went, they were cleansed. Now let's take some faith for all 10 of these guys, faith to follow Jesus' words. They didn't, I don't know what they experienced in their body. It doesn't say. Did the skin start to feel better automatically? Did it happen as they were walking to the priest? We're not sure, but we just know as they went, their bodies became free from leprosy. But this, in verse 15, let's look right here. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. And then it says, period, now he was a Samaritan. Now this is very fascinating for various reasons. How many guys were cleansed? 10 lepers were cleansed, but only one came back to thank Jesus. And this guy was a Samaritan. Now, if you remember, Samaritans and Jews were enemies. The woman at the well was a Samaritan. So, and it was controversial for Jews and Samaritans to interact. They argued, they were like denominations. So they argued over religion and these things. So Jesus is not only healing these men of leprosy, he's healing a Samaritan, which is a huge thing. And he, the Samaritan, the enemy of the Jews, is the only one who comes back and says thank you to Jesus. Now Jesus says, then he answered, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except for this foreigner, this Samaritan?" And he said to him, "Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well." Now that's one thing in the Greek and then versus the English that we miss out on. All 10 were cleansed. The Greek word there literally means clean or healed. They could be purified, so they can actually participate. They go show themselves to the priest. They were cleansed. But then when Jesus talks to the one who returned and gave thanks, he says, "Your faith has made you well." Excuse me. The word there, well, is sozo. And sozo in the Greek has this connotation of complete body, soul, and spirit healing. Not just cleansed on the outside, but everywhere. Almost like your sins are forgiven. So this one guy, the foreigner, the Samaritan, the enemy, the only one who comes back to give thanks is the only one who gets complete and total restoration. Sure, those other guys were cleansed of leprosy, but this guy was permanently changed forever in his heart. And that is, my friends, is what thankfulness does for us. It permanently changes who we are on the inside out. It reminds us of our total dependence upon Jesus and his grace in our life, in his life, death, resurrection, ascension, all of that we have access to. We have thankfulness for him and thankfulness for what he does. So don't forget that. Be one of the 10 that comes back to say thank you and live in the freedom and the healing that comes with that.